Let me know. Good afternoon, Harlem and Harlems of the world. I'm Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. And as many of you know, Harlem Network News started at the onset of COVID, and we are still here. We do consider ourselves an essential service. We are dedicated to assure that Harlem and the Harlems of the world and the whole world are informed, engaged, and call to action. And this is more vital than ever in such a time as this. Black media matters, getting clear information. Mainstream media often does not cover a lot of our stories. So it's important that we tell our own stories. You can follow Harlem Network News on YouTube. We're on YouTube every Sunday, and we do shows in between because there's so much news and information that people need to know. We are the voice and the drumbeat of Harlem. Support Black media. We're on YouTube and all of the social media channels. But to really help us to really get that news and information out, you can reach us at 646-261-5397. You can donate, you can Zelle, you can Cash App. You can also go to our GoFundMe, and we are in the process right now of starting a membership, which will help to push it forward. And as our counterpart Roland Martin says, hey, bring your eyeballs to us. Well, today we have a very, very significant show. We have Harlem folks that have interviewed with us several times before and are doing some amazing work. And that is in the person of Michael Green, CEO and founder of Shades of Truth Theater. And we also have with us our Harlem Diva and Songstress, Lealith Tucker. So we are very grateful to have them here. And they have a new production, Women of the Blues, that is coming up. It really highlights the life of Rosemary McCoy. But I'm going to let Michael Green just kind of take over and tell us who he is, whose he is, and what motivated him to really start Shades of Truth Theater and what Shades of Truth Theater represents for the community. Thank you, Michael.
And thank you, Terri, for once again bringing me back live on your
Hey.
show, the Harlem News Network. Well, my history in Harlem goes back about 30 years. And, Shade of Truth Theater is celebrating 20 years of being
Okay.
exclusively in Harlem and about the business of exploring and expanding and expounding and presenting stories that cover the full spectrum of the Black experience. And so we cover those stories of individuals or incidents that sort of get sort of swept to the side, to the margins in our entertainment, expectations and so forth. And so, we've carved a niche in which we bravely go where no one has gone before, to borrow something from Star Trek. We
Okay, I
tell
love
these
it.
stories. We tell these stories. We are one of the few companies that were at the front when it came to telling the story of Black Wall Street, and we did that, about 12 years ago. And we enlighten a whole lot of people. There's generations now that know about Black Wall Street because of the shows that we did. We're proud to be
Absolutely.
proud to be
Absolutely.
partners with. Yes,
Mhm.
thank you, Terri. Because she was in the audience, so she witnessed it firsthand.
Absolutely. And many people did not, just to interject, many people didn't know anything about Black Wall Street. So theater, Harlem theater brought Black Wall Street. And I remember, I think the first show I came to was at the Dr. Betty Shabazz and Malcolm X Center. So that's a powerful thing. But after that, the ball started rolling, and there were films on Black Wall Street and documentaries and all of that. So it just shows how our stories are not told. And we have to support and fund Black businesses and Black arts. It's very critical. Thank you.
The one thing I'll point out, Terry, is so often people view our history through, a very narrow lens, and they feel that it's so painful. It's so painful to watch, so painful to hear. You would almost think that the people today are experiencing more hardship than the folks who actually lived the history. They
Mm-hmm.
lived the trauma, and we're feeling the trauma more so than they did. So, when we can't bear to watch it, how did they live it? Well, they lived it and they
All
were
right.
downtrodden. They weren't woe is me every single day. They found
Mm-hmm.
ways to laugh. They got married. They raised children. They kept their families together. They accomplished, whatever they could accomplish, before it got interrupted by outside external forces, which should not be how they are defined. They should not be defined because someone came to their town and destroyed it. Let's focus on the fact that they came together and they built it and they sustained it. And they were able to do this again and again and again. So we're proud to be able to bring these stories from the page to the stage. Most of these stories start as an idea, or I get introduced to a subject matter that I wasn't familiar with. And I said,
Okay.
wow, we got to write a story about it, which brings us to Women of the Blues, the story, the life and times of Rose Marie McCoy. Here's a woman, a Black woman, who wrote over 800 songs. And she didn't just write them in her room and kept them to herself. Many of her songs were recorded by top, major recording artists, and they had hits with her songs. You're talking about, Sarah Vaughan, Dinah Washington.
Love it.
You're talking about Elvis Presley. You're talking about Ike and Tina Turner. You're talking about Nat
Wow.
King
Clap it
Cole,
up. Woo.
Jerry
Mm.
Butler, and
Mhm.
Eddie Cleanhead Vincent, and you're talking about so many others that I can't even name all the names of people that really appreciated her knack for telling great stories,
Mm.
putting in a
Mhm.
song. Here's a woman that experienced a lot of hardship, but she didn't just wallow in the pain of it. She said, you know what, I'm gonna write a song about it. You want to hear it? Here you go. And that's what she
Okay.
did again and again and again, 800 songs. So
Wow.
we're exploring,
Amazing.
telling her story in a marvelous way. And we have a team of very talented women. We have Lee Olive, which is Lee Olive Tucker, who's here with us tonight. We have
Yes,
Angel
absolutely.
Million. We have Shanice Chapman. We have Shanana Mano. I hope I'm saying her name right. We have
Mhm.
Elizabeth Smith. I mean, these women work well together. They beautifully, weave the narrative and tell these stories. So you're in for a treat. Your people are in for a
Okay.
treat. The show
Okay.
is going
Well,
to be
thank.
this
Go
Monday.
ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
this
was
show.
just going to say thank you for sharing just that point about taking away the pain, not looking at our history. I'm Terri Wisdom. This is Harlem Network News. And that's a very, very vital point, because we weren't the ones who lived through it. And, as far as I know, our grandparents and ancestors, kept the family together, did all the work they had to do, and they weren't running around depressed or needing a medication or any of that. They believed, in their God and the spirit and the family, and they kept it going. So I really feel like I love the fact that you're saying that, because we need to shoulder up. We need to shoulder up. And, sometimes as I'm, just walking through doing everything I need to do for Harlem Network News and some. And I just say to myself, I think about our ancestors who had to go clean somebody else's house, go take care of somebody else's kids, and then come home and make our great food and take care of us. So that's a motivation. So thank you for that, Michael Green. And I'm going to come back to you if that's okay, because I want to introduce Leolith, and I want Leolith, if you could just share what your connection, who you are, whose you are, and what your connection is to the Shades of Truth Theater. Thank you.
Well, I'm very happy to be here with you, Terry, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about what we're doing here in the community. And hopefully making an impact on the community. Think locally, act globally, instead of just the reverse. That this word will go out and other people will start understanding our story and the power in it. Because that is what we are. We are overcomers. You know, we're the people that they gave us what they didn't want and we made it into something beautiful. So it's like that. And we have
Okay.
to do exactly that. Tell the story of how we keep on overcoming. Like you said, we have Shades of Truth, okay, and that's a theater. We have Hidden Figures because they didn't even have the computer to put the people in space that they said they
Mhm.
had. We have air conditioning and elevators and everything because of the creative genius of people. If you task us with doing something, we'll figure out how to do it efficiently. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that's what we have. We have the power, and
Mhm.
that we, as innovators and creators, were forced to make the work that we had to do easier to bear. So we created all these things, and we didn't get credit for it. Just like Rosemary McCoy wrote more than 50 top 40 Billboard hits in her lifetime, and she lived to be 93 years old and wrote over 800 songs. But nobody knows her name is a household word because they're trying to just not tell what we did in this country. So Shades of
Okay.
Truth Theater is an arm of information and inspiration in our community and in the world because it's very important. Like I said before, I was at the March on Washington when I was 15 years old, and I've been running on the inspiration I got from seeing how we can move and make things happen and focus on our progress. So I'm determined to continue doing that until my last breath. And any chance I get, I will work with somebody else who's doing the same thing. And Michael Green has always been shining a light on what we have the ability to do and the stories of our progress, our triumphs, and the realization of our visions, dreams, and goals.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. Just dropping a lot of jewels. And this interview, I'm Terri Wisdom. This is Harlem Network News, and this is about that collaboration. Harlem Network News, getting the news and information out to the people. Shades of Truth Theater, getting the information and the history out to the people, and just the fact that you brought Black Wall Street. And I don't know, you're getting credit for it right on here because so many people heard about it, through you and through theater. And as we're having this interview, the wheels are churning because I think, which I'm sure you're doing, taking theater to the school children, to the young adults, taking it to everyone, because a lot of our young people, because it's not in the history books, because it's not front and center, there are people who, and they wouldn't because, they were young or they were not born, but it's people, who are like 19, 20, 21, in college, and they might not know who James Brown is, or, there's people in the lower grades like, who is Nelson Mandela? You know what I'm saying? So we've got to,
Yes.
dramatize it. And that sometimes is more touchable and reachable for these young people, and the music, of course, than the documentaries. But this is our job. This is our task. And if they don't know, we can't be mad at them because they don't know, because we didn't share or we didn't tell them. You know what I'm saying? So we really really have to work on that. If you would share a little bit, Michael Green, about the Shades of Truth Theater and the collaborations. I know you have a co-producer on this in the person of Vosa Rivers and the New Heritage Theater. So if you could just share a little bit about that collaboration, and then I know I interrupted you, so go forward. Thank
Well,
you.
I always have to say that 30 years ago, when I first came to New York, for the sole purpose of producing a play, on the Buffalo Soldiers, I only knew two people. I knew Lawrence Evans and a young lady that I was dating, and these are the only two people that I knew in New York. And so I had to hit the
Mm,
ground running. And within my first, 3 weeks, somebody introduced me to Boza Rivers. After a
okay.
15-minute conversation, after 15 minutes of conversation, Boza
Okay.
wrote a check for $2,500.
All right now.
That got the ball rolling for me
Amen.
to the play about Camp Logan, the Buffalo Soldiers of 1917, Houston, Texas. And
All
so,
right.
so that began our relationship. And then even before, I would decide to pursue this vein of telling our true stories exclusively,
Hmm.
I cemented my relationship with Vosa, who has been in my corner ever since.
That's a
And we
blessing. We all
find
need people in our corner. That's for
absolutely,
sure.
absolutely. So we find non-traditional spaces. We create collaborations with churches, schools. A lot of schools book our shows. They ask me to write something that can fit a certain curriculum, and I do that. So we get bookings through schools, through churches. Sometimes institutions will use our shows as fundraisers. And we're in theaters, we're in churches, we're in basements, we're in large rooms. We're even doing a show at Raymore and Flanagan, in a couple of
Okay.
weeks.
I love
So
it.
we're
I
in the
love it.
showroom. So we conform to whatever spaces that are provided. So we're not limited. And that has
Mhm.
lended itself to our success. We find people that are bold enough to write, about, our stories. And, and we find the resources to get those stories up and out. So yeah, I just want to say that I'm thankful for your network, Terry, because this started as an idea to fill a
Yeah,
need, and you did it, and you're
absolutely.
still here. You're
Yes, we're
beyond the
still here.
pandemic.
We're
The
still
pandemic
here.
went poof, and you're still
We're
here.
still here. Harlem Network
Amen.
News, we are still here. And our goal is this year is to really take it to the next level. We have to monetize it. And we're reaching out to the community, to the public officials, to other organizations to figure out how we can really just get this done so that we can do it full out, so that we can become that full network. And it should be evident to people how important Black businesses are, but how important Black media is. We have lost a lot in terms of the media, the Jets, the Ebonies, a lot of the shows that we think are not Black owned, and they were, but they're not, be it BET or whatever. So we've got to really look at that. And for advertising dollars, because we're watching all those shows to be this, that, and the other, but we don't own it. But the advertisers give that money to those stations. You know what I'm saying? And then a Harlem Network News or a Roland Martin or whoever will get the crumbs. So we have to really stand and control the narrative, if you will. We've got to control the narrative. We've got to make sure our community knows what's happening, even as far as what's happening around the corner, because a lot of our things that happen in our community are just not covered. People just don't know. And then with the media blitz that's happening now, there's a lot of confusion and a lot of misinformation. So it's about us bringing that truth to power so people can understand the finer points. So, with that said, Leala Tucker, if you would share, because I know that this particular show is going to happen on the very last day of Women's History Month, March 31st. So, how do you see that as significant? And if you would speak about the interaction with some of the other people that are in this particular show. Thank you.
Well, the cast of this show is has become pretty much like family. The women are very talented, creative, innovative, and have a lot of stamina and a lot of uh, charisma. We have Shawnee's Chapman, who is an actress, singer, and she's a very dynamic young woman with two very talented, creative, intelligent children. We have
Okay.
Angel Millian, who is a very talented singer and songwriter who actually wrote original songs for this play.
Mm,
Um, there is Elizabeth Smith, who is a very talented actress and a dancer and a ballroom dance instructor for many
oh,
years.
wow.
And she's a
Okay.
senior lady with a lot of fire and charisma herself and a certain flair. She dresses and carries herself very beautifully. And
Okay.
then there's uh, Michael surprised me by finding a person who I am actually like a play godmother to, that I had only seen when she was maybe 5 or 6 years old, who is now a grown
Okay.
woman, who is
Okay. Wow.
Janana Mano. I went to Sunday school with her mom. So
Wow.
it's really getting to be a family. And then we have, let's see, Shawnice, Angel, Elizabeth, and who am I forgetting, Michael?
No, you yourself, Leala Tucker.
Oh, me, of course. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Okay.
And it's
Well,
really wonderful that we're doing these stories, because when we're doing stories right now that are talking about our overcoming and exceptionalism. And the first one we did was about Langston Hughes. And this one that we're doing, Women of the Blues, is talking about the fact that if you give us lemons, we will make the best lemonade you ever had. And
okay.
we'll
Mhm.
make it. And it's going to be something that everybody's going to want. So Michael has done it again, because
Okay.
I was in a show before about Rosemary McCoy, and it was done by Vosa Rivers and New Heritage Theater and
Mhm.
Harlem Arts Alliance, and I got to meet her and interact with her, and she was a
Wow.
woman of
How
much
amazing.
spirit, and she had an overcoming spirit. And I just want to give you the quote that is when she said, "Whatever happens to me, I'm going to write a song about it." She was serious. When she was heartbroken, she wrote a song, and she
Mhm.
said, "My heart was broken and I was destroyed, but I wrote a song that was recorded, and everybody else could cry over the song and sing the song, and I got the checks." So
Mhm.
that's the
Okay.
attitude to have.
I'm
Make
loving it.
everything that happens to you work for you rather than against you, by having an attitude of whatever it is, tomorrow is
Mhm.
coming. So I'll make tomorrow better.
Okay. Well,
This
thank you
show,
for that. That's quite the
this
inspiration that we need. This is Harlem Network News. I'm Terri Wisdom, and I'm going to throw the mic to Michael Green to top on that. Thank you.
this show, and thank you so much, Leala. This show is going to be March 31st, Monday, March 31st at 6:30 p.m. at the Interchurch, 61 Claremont Drive, and that's right across the street from Riverside Church, right at
Okay.
119th Street. So, so that again, that's 61 Claremont, Monday, March 31st at 6:30 p.m. You can go
Okay.
on eventbrite.com, put in Women of the Blues, put in Shade Your Truth Theater, and it should come
Okay.
up. You can also call 646-488-9576. Again, 646-488-9576. Reach me directly and for more additional information. Thank you, Terri, for having us on to
Okay.
speak with you
You're
and
more than
interface.
welcome. And I think it's a great collaboration. I know this is in keeping with what you do in terms of bringing that history, bringing that information, it being theatrical. And, it's just a great meeting of the minds. When I think about Leolith, when I first met her, she came to our guest house, Harlem Landmark Guest House, and did a lunch for a group, but it was like a jazz lunch, and it was just a trio, but she mixed in history and information about jazz. So, it just shows how our culture and creativity happens. So we thank you very much. And Harlem Network News, we're greatly honored. I had the honor just last night of receiving an honor that was Wednesday evening, from NAMA, which is has been around 103 years and was the first Black musical union. And it was just amazing. They gave me a plaque that had to do with one of the, artists, and it may have been Rosemary McCoy, and then I also got a citation from our council member, Dr. Yusef Salam. So, which was totally unexpected, a lovely card from them. The audience was filled. So all of the twains and all of the avenues are meeting, and it's a powerful thing, and we just have to continue. So I thank you for the inspiration and just doing this show with you, because with all the things that we're dealing with, being in community always helps. The fact that we're connected and in community. So I'm Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. And I look forward, and I will continue to spread the word and work collectively to tell our stories. And you can reach us at 646-261-5397 directly, or Harlem Network News at gmail.com. And we do need you to donate, get engaged. We're going to make you a part of our campaign as we bring together membership. If you have ideas for sponsors, we're open, because this is your station. Thank you so much, and have a blessed and prosperous day. Forward ever, backward never, up ye mighty race. So goes Harlem, so goes the world. And you know, that's James Baldwin. So thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Terri.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to leave.